All right, welcome everybody to another edition of Chasing Ghost. This is the video series where I'm taking a look at those hard to find, low print books you just never see when you're out there at your shops or hunting on your normal, day to day. Just stuff you just don't come across. Uh, they can be that way for many different reasons, and we're just going to look at a couple here just to see, what books are really tough to find and why these books are tough to find. I mean, hopefully you're liking this information and you're liking the things that I'm doing on the channel. If you are, please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss any of the content that we got dropping. Don't forget, tomorrow we have another edition of the totally awesome, coolest show ever with me and Marco. We're going to be doing another tier list for you, as well as trying out another little segment that we are planning to do in the weeks ahead. So please come check us out live tomorrow night and Wednesday at 9 o'clock or so. And yeah, the chat's an integral part of the show, so we'd appreciate you guys coming in and taking part. Engage. Let's have some fun. Now, that being said, just hold on for a couple of seconds, and I'll be right back with this week's books. So this week I've got another 3 books for you. Well, if we're going to get technical, I kind of have 4, but we'll get into that in a second. Again, these are just stuff that's just very, very hard to find that you just don't come across, on your day-to-day hunts. It's just these are some tough variants, some exclusives, things of that nature, and just impossible books that most of which I would love to have in my collection and do not. So don't take this list as like me showing off some crazy books that I have, because I don't have hardly any of these. That being said, our first book is going to be the 1 in 50 Neil Adams Ghost Rider book from 2011. This is actually the first appearance of that female Ghost Rider. I mean, that aspect alone might make this gather some interest again. I know that Ghost Rider 1 got hot, the 2011 one, because of that female Ghost Rider. I can't remember her name, but this is just a really tough to find book. The estimated print run on this is about, a little over 41,000, which would make that 1 in 50, somewhere in that 826 range as a maximum amount. Again, these are estimates of information that I could find online. Nothing's set in stone, nothing's concrete. Can't say any of this for certain. It's just the best that I could do with the information available. So still, under 1,000 copies max for this book makes this one a tough one out there. You just got to think in practical terms. How many people were ordering 50 copies of Ghost Rider 1 back in 2011? Not even people, stores. Like, how many could possibly do that and maintain and sell them all? And then even if they did, they got what, 1, 2? Just practicality is what you have to consider. That being said, how many do we got in the census? For this book, it looks like we got a grand total of 25, which, for 10 years is not that bad. Only 6 9/8s and about 9 9/6s, and then a few, scattered on the grades below. But 25 came to CGC over 10 years. That's not a lot. And I know CGC is not the only grading company out there, but this is the easiest way for me to kind of gather that material with the census and everything. So it's just kind of giving you a baseline, broad strokes ideas of what we're talking about here. So only 25 copies in the census total, 6 9/8. Craziness. So this book, like I said, is a 1 in 50. Neil Adams. I like it. It's a good cover. I dig it. I like the layout of it and everything. I would love having it, but I just can't afford these prices. There is a copy out there right now. $13.50 is the asking price if you want to buy one. It's given a 9.4 estimate. This is raw. I think there might also be a graded copy as well, like a 9.0, or maybe that's what one was sold. I know I saw a 9.0 somewhere in these numbers when I was doing my quick research for this. But the last sold one was in April 26th, just about $3,000 for that 9.8, and only 6 of them. So that's a nice chunk of change if you got one or can get one. As I mentioned every week, if any of you guys out there have any of these books that I'm highlighting or spotlighting here, please share them with me. Tag me on Instagram. I love seeing this stuff and show it off. Like, be proud, because a lot of this stuff is really, really tough to find. So just share it with the community. Let's have a look and have some fun. And if there's books that you guys want to see that you think are ghosts, that you just never see when you're out there hunting, shoot those to me in the comments too. As you might have saw last week, I used a couple of viewer suggestions for 2 out of the 3 that I covered. So again, I'll add them to my pile. I got a pile of books to talk about, but whatever you guys got, I'll add them as well. So this book, I also want to note that while the 1 in 50 is really, really tough to find, the 1 in 25 for this same book is nothing to sneeze at too. I mean, it's a bit easier. The 1 in 25, I think this is done by Lazi, I think is the artist's last name. It is another gorgeous cover. It's a wraparound, which is kind of cool. I mean, you get that whole, flaming bike and a lot of skulls. Like, it's a really cool image to have on that wraparound. And that's a 1 in 25, and this is also really tough to find. But obviously, the numbers would double it than what that 1 in 50 has. So still that same 41,000 print run, but we're looking at a little over 1,600 for the 1 in 25s that are out there. So yeah, it's a little bit easier to find. Census kind of backs it up a bit with about 39 overall graded in the census. A lot of 9.8s too. 31 of those 39 are 9.8s. So other than the unlike the 1 in 50, the 1 in 25 seems to be a touch easier to get in that high grade, which is kind of surprising with that wraparound. But it's still just a fun book to keep an eye out for. But that's not one of the 3. This is kind of a little extra add-on that kind of noted there at the start. So that 1 in 25 is a really cool cover as well. Now, my next book is going to be She-Hulk. I think this is the 2014 run of She-Hulk. This is the 1 in 100 Sayaum. I don't know if I'm saying her name properly, but this is just a gorgeous cover. That yellow is just something that would pop, especially with the green. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover. And like I said, this is a 1 in 100. There were other variants for this this book as well, but this is the top dog, I guess, as it were. And print run was about just under 42,000 for this. So if we're talking 1 in 100, you could do the math. We're looking at maybe 419 copies, which is really not a lot. So you don't see this one come up for sale a lot. And when you do, you should pay attention to it. Definitely should pay attention to it. So what do we got in the census for this one? We got about 30 overall with 21 9/8, which ain't half bad. So 2 out of every 3 that made it to the census are getting those 9/8. And then, a little smattering of other grades down below. Again, still not a lot. I mean, still not a lot. Under 500 copies total and only 30 in the census over the last, it's about 7 years now. Not an easy book to find, and definitely one, again, keep an eye out for. I think there are a couple up right now, but I picked out the 9/8 graded copy, which is asking $1,200. So these are the prices we're talking about with these ghosts, these tough to find books. They ain't cheap. So if you did happen to find one in a shop or a store or a show, you keep these things in mind, because maybe it's underpriced, and maybe you can get one at a deal, considering some of the things how they go for online. You know how FOMO takes a hold of this community. So that is what's available. Now, what has sold is I only saw a couple of raw copies. They both look like they came from the same seller, and over 2 months, and they're both about that $475 price. I don't know if a sale fell through and then they sold it again, but $475 raw for this is still not a cheap book. Definitely not a cheap book, but yeah, not too bad if you consider it's a 1 in 100. That being said, definitely a cool book, and one I wish I had in my collection. Actually, I think I have the 1 in 50 for this one, which is I forget the art on it. I have to look for that one. But still, the 1 in 100 is definitely the tougher book, and the one that that we're looking at here today, which is going to take us to our last selection, and our last book. Hopefully, my shirt didn't give this one away. This is the DuckTales #1. The 8-bit animated cover from San Diego Comic-Con from, I want to say, I can't remember the year now. I want to say it was 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. I believe it was somewhere in that range. But this is the Kaboom run before I went to regular Boom, or they started just labeling it Boom. This is a very tough book to find. Estimates throw out there might be 500 copies made of this out there. So that's all we're really looking at. This was a convention exclusive, not something that was at shops or at stores. So this is pretty much whoever went to SDCC that year and managed to grab a copy. That's how it got dispersed into the community. So whatever's out there is out there. And with that, not a lot in the census. I mean, all things considered, 34 would seem like a lot for a 500 run, but again, I'm surprised there's not more. There's only 198 that's in there right now. Most of them hit that 9.6 at about 13 copies. So 198, 13 9.6s, and then a bunch of other grades, which is not too surprising. Con exclusives, people carrying it around, throw it in backpacks. This black cover, unforgiving with the spine ticks and any bends or creases that might have happened, along the way. So not surprising. So high grade, definitely at a premium for this one. Again, there's none listed on eBay right now for you to go look at, to kind of price check it. Not only that, there's none sold these last 3 months either. So this is definitely a tough book, and one that doesn't come around all that often. So consider yourself lucky if you come across one, even to just kind of check it out. So again, any of you guys out there have one, take a pic, please tag me. I'd love to check it out because I love this stuff. So those are our books for this week, and I think we can just say that all three of these books, will probably fit the criteria for Ghost, at least by my estimation. Not easy to find, definitely not a lot, highly printed, not a lot of copies out there. So if you have one, find one, or can see one, consider yourself lucky, because these things aren't easy to come by. So thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoyed that and enjoy the the content that I'm providing on the channel. Got more stuff coming your way. Hopefully you're liking it. Again, subscribe, tell your friends. Let's get that subscriber number up over 700 so I can give some more books away as we make our way towards 1,000. And again, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you like and you don't like, any suggestions, and any suggestions of books that you want to see. And hope to see you guys on Wednesdays live with me and Marco. Later.